Hello, hello, and welcome back to Minotaur Hotel. We're still talking with Asterion, because he's a cutie, right? I think I can turn up the volume a little bit. Yeah. My language, rough and bullish, lips blending in odd angles, a tongue too long and thick. During the day, his wet nurse taught him the words, repeating each one 100 times. A prince must speak well, she said. Every other week, his mother would spend a night with him. Her eyes wondered, crawled. Her eyes wondered, crawled up to the ceiling, and her limp wristed hands grasped about like a baby's. Wow, We're starting strong, folks. We're starting strong. She spoke as if her mouth was always full of pebbles. Her syllables would blur together. The vowels stuttered and were washed away by her accent. Father said it was her madness speaking. The wet nurse said she came from a godly place beyond the sea, and that was and that was their accent. Asterion drank every precious moment with his mother, including her slurred song. He could never tell if his accent came from his bestial form or from her influence. But here in the labyrinth, he let it go. It took bits and pieces from people over the centuries, stitched together something rough, shoddy, and perfect.
Oh, I made my own language.
I see. I wasn't expecting that. But can you read English just fine? If not, I can help you.
Master shouldn't worry. Yes, I'm remembering. Now what should I do next?
We can we can start by searching for something you want to know. Try typing it. What you are curious about.
Yes, sir.
To take a glimpse of the outside world, a few things did come to mind. He had thought about them so much during these decades. Before the master can stop him, the Minotaur types Notre Dame Cathedral. A chill. Oh, he's so cute in this portrait. What the fuck? A chill ran up the man's spine, just as the Minotaur's stomach drops. I'm sorry. I should have given you a heads up about this. Asterion's ears droop as he reads on.
This is a tragedy.
It is. They're going to restore it, but it's still horrible. You can still look at plenty of archived footage of the pictures of Notre Dame, though. Most historical buildings like it are well preserved and documented digitally. The master shows him the image search results. You mentioned Jean had made drawings of the buildings from memory. Do they do justice to the real thing? More pictures of the cathedral are revealed, but every other image result in his news footage of the burning cathedral.
It's strange. You would expect me to not care about something. That is completely beyond my grasp. Even if it is not, even if it had not burned down, it remains off limits to me. In a way, if it is off limits to other people as well, I am sharing a little part of my burden with them, and that's not something I enjoy.
The Minotaur sulks in silence for a minute or two, and the master gives him space. He considers whether showing Asterion a virtual tour would change his mind, but decide not to keep picking at his wound.
I'm sorry for bringing down the mood, Master. I'd rather not dwell on this subject any longer.
Don't worry about it, and yes, that's a good idea. Anything else you would like to look up?
I wonder how Crete is doing nowadays. The palace of, no, the word, was discovered in the late 1800s and excavated in the early 1900s. So, they found it. So little of it is left, but that's it. It's where I grew up. This courtyard. When I was a child, I used to play there with my brother, Andragos.
How was it, living back then?
It was nice, I suppose. If you are wondering about all the modern comforts, running water, electricity, we didn't have any of that. But we lived well, better than most. I even had a room of my own. I knew few children from the time can say the same. I had a bodyguard to keep me safe. We'd stick together always. Although, that may not be the best way to put it. He was only some 7 years older than me when he became my, shall we say, guardian. I must have been 4 years old. My time in the palace was quite enjoyable, in no small part thanks to him. His name was, Ferranios. I still don't know these words. But make no mistake, I did have responsibilities. I performed ceremonial duties very often. Ferranios always gave me company, and Andragos would too, when when his obligations allowed. I wonder what else I can find in this internet. There is a place I've been very curious about for quite a while. Perhaps you have heard of it. The region called Borg.
The name rings a bell, yes. Is it a region of France?
Yes, I believe it is. Now, what will your internet tell me about it? France's most prominent winemaker region. I suppose Jean was not bragging. His family's wine must have been quite remarkable. It was captured by Germans during World War II. Oh, I suppose that makes sense. But it seems to be doing quite well now. That is a relief.
Did Jean come from this region?
Yes, it's what he used to call his ancestral homeland. He was a patriot. No land on Earth was as beautiful and as noble as his. He couldn't bear to hear France's situation in the war, and no amount of pleading could stop him from going.
The Minotaur could still feel it, the ringing inside his head from when Jean died.
And the rest, I suppose, is history. I wonder what it must feel like, walking through one of those vineyards.
It must be refreshing. A sun on your back. Ooh. Maybe a chilly wind cutting through the grapevine, leaving leaves brushing against your arms.
I could use some of that.
We could make one, then. How about it? Our very own vineyard?
What? But why?
Because I can just make things pop into existence when I use it for something fun and nice like that.
Oh, my good lord. If only things were that simple. It would be quite the tricky affair, I'm afraid.
Why? What's stopping us?
Contracts, for starters. This land is not hospitable for life. Plus, that would distract us too much from our mission of the hotels, wouldn't it?
I suppose you're right.
Well, I should not lie. A vineyard would be nice. Who knows? Maybe one day, if it's still your wish. This is a 90 invention, the internet thing.
Nifty? Whoa.
Could it, the silliest idea, come to me? Perhaps it's hubris of me to even consider it.
The Minotaur's ears flicker, and his snout takes on a livelier shade of pink.
Could the internet have something about me?
Of course, there is a whole legend about you, dating back to who knows when. We can find plenty of stuff. Although, there are many misconceptions about you. I should warn you in advance, people have many misconceptions.
I see, yes. I cannot say I am surprised. The Athenians were not kind in their telling of what happened. I have known of that for a long time. Let's see. Asterion of Crete. Oh, there is something here. Even if it's not about me, Asterion the First became the king of Crete after the death of his father, King Tecmos. After Europa was abducted and taken by Zeus, he married her and became the stepfather to Zeus's son. Not what I wanted, but this is nice. A shard of my family's history lives.
Is that your grandson? That grandfather?
Not exactly. He lived a long time before me. I can't even recall how many generations apart we were. There's not much here. I suppose most of it would be forgotten, but... Further down it says, Asterion II, the Minotaur. Let's see what they have about me.
Oh, he's excited. The Minotaur's eyes leapt from the sentence to sentence. Struck by Poseidon's madness, recruited the artisan Daedalus to craft a hollow cow with which she took the bull's lurch. The hybrid child, said to have the body of a man and the head of a bull, had no place in the natural order and nothing to sustain it. As such, he grew violent and took to consuming human flesh. King Minos commanded Athens to send youths as tribute to feed him, 7 youths, among which was Theseus, heir to Athens' throne. Ariadne. Ariadne, yeah. Because I do know that word. Yes. I think I have that card over in a pile next to me. I put all my pendulum stuff to the side, because, it's unplayable now. I miss pendulums. The Minotaur's sister became enraptured by the Athenian hero, and confided to him the secret that the labyrinth could be conquered with a ball of yarn. With Ariadne's assistance, Theseus solved it and vanquished the Minotaur. He escaped Crete with the princess, but abandoned her in the islands of Naxos, where it is believed she either met her end or was kidnapped by Dionysus. In the aftermath of the Minotaur's death, Crete fell from the hegemonic position over the Mediterranean. King Minos set out in pursuit of Daedalus, seeking revenge for he believed it was the craftsman who revealed to Ariadne the secret solution to the labyrinth. This in turn led to Minos' death, boiled alive in the foreign country. The death of the Minotaur marked the fall of Crete and the rise of Athens as the main power in the Mediterranean. The loss of the centralized ruling figure led the fragmentation, which in turn allowed it to be conquered by different civilizations over the course of history. Be supportive. If you'd like to hear a word of caution, not everything you'll find online is true. I imagine that can be distressing, seeing yourself, misrepresented. You're not at all like the legends say. It's outright slander. We both know better. You're kind, hardworking, and very important to the hotel, and to the people here. That's the truth of the matter. That said, it might be for the best if you don't focus too much on what the internet says about you. There are better things for you to search out. To search about. The Minotaur draws a breath, holding himself back from coughing.
It's fine. Nothing I didn't already know. The Athenians were not kind in their tellings of the tale.
We have our own version of the story now. That won't matter. Well, I was thinking of going to the lounge. If I recall correctly, there are some leftovers from last night we could eat. If you want, you can stay here and keep browsing the internet. Does that sound good? The Minotaur's fingertips were ice cold. His hooves radiated a dull pain that crawled all the way to the top of his horns. He drew a breath. His fingers curled on the device's surface. His ears went numb as a streak of cold sweat ran down his back.
Yes, I'll be fine. Thank you, sir.
See you soon, Asterion. The Minotaur closed his eyes and recalled it, and recalled it all. The dozens, perhaps hundreds of retellings he had heard across the centuries. Each one more horrible than the previous. So often revolving around the fundamental misinformation that he had been a cannibal. Such a life-changing lie. And yet, there was something comforting in the fact that, cannibalism aside, what he read was exactly what he expected.
See you soon, my lord.
Once more, the sound above your footsteps echoed up and down the stairwell, from the skylights so far above down to the depths below. Each one sounds somehow lonely, without the now familiar clopping of Asterion's hooves keeping time with them. There is no low humming, murmuring voice, just above and behind your shoulder. No massive body brushing against your side and then pulling away after lingering for a briefest moment. There is no conversation or even silence. There is just you and the staircase. As you take the steps down, your mind drifts back to the night before, to the celebration of the hotel's revival, to Asterion's concert, to the embrace you had shared with the Minotaur before he mounted the stage, and the banter between the two of you while returning to your chamber when the night had grown late. You poke your head into the lobby, checking for any early morning arrivals, when you've met only with silence and solitude. You make your way towards the light of life, as hungover and heavy-headed as it may be, of the lounge. The pair of South American workers are huddled over the same table in the corner they had occupied the night before, both men nursing a tall glass of hair of the dog? A few of the new arrivals are scattered here and there, still shooting occasional sideways glances towards the boisterous griffin manning the bar counter. And Luke himself chatters away to Kota while the dragon picks at the breakfast with dainty precision. So anyway, what'd you think? Could be pretty dang fun, huh?
Perhaps.
Come on, Blue Boy. A little music, a little stargazing. I can make us some snacks. Oh, you ever try a pickle pop? Make them big enough, and you can lick them pretty much all night long.
Was that an innuendo?
you want it to be. And the Griffin tries to keep a straight face, but struggles as the seconds tick away. He finally bursts into a fit of giggling, while Kota rolls his eyes. But seriously, pretty much everything's a lot more fun when you do it with someone else. No funny business, I promise. Just two men appreciating the beauty of the night sky together.
Wouldn't you rather spend time with one of your,
what is this word? Trusts? Trysts? Stuff like that never lasts as long as you want it to. Luke's gaze darts over to the South American workers in the corner, and a wistful sigh escapes his beak. Come on, please. I promise I'll make it worth your while. Okay, I'm sorry. So there was a couple years where I was playing the Dragon Ball card game somewhat competitively, and it was fairly new at the time, and so the tournament scene was small but going well for the size of the game. And one of the first players that got banned was, I forget his name. You can look it up, I think, if I remember the story correctly. I'm sorry, it's 6 a.m. Ignore how I'm reading because of that. But he, in, like, finals of some nationals or some shit, he, like, leans into his opponent and tries to barter his opponent to, throw the game. And the actual wording was, "I'll make it worth your while," because it was streamed and you could hear him say it. So like everyone knew it was a whole thing. Like fuck. We can even get Mr. Josh and Asterion along for the ride. Make it a real get together. What's this about now? I'm gonna end the part here, I think. So I'll see you around, guys.